Welcome back to the SCC qualifiers. We just got through with the last quarterfinal matchup. Again, that's something we were just doing this week. Don't expect it next week as well. And Dan's Lane, congrats to them. They have made it all the way through to the semifinals, which means they are one of the 4 who are already on to the group stages. Still Finch here. I'm still joined by Mifflin with me here on the desk as well. And Miff, we can take a moment, I think, to talk about that last game because it was a... That's Snatos, right? That is that Camazot's running the table basically up against everybody else, way ahead in player damage, like 15k more than everyone else. I mean, he had a monster performance.
The only people that are even approaching him in player damage were the enemy team. So saying it was Snad, it really was. Camazot's, we saw him at the end there, he sat on the enemy Phoenix alone for about 3 minutes, and no one approached him. And I can't blame them.
Yeah, it looked like they were trying to use him as bait, but this might be one of those first times that your bait was too strong. Like, no one is going to spring that trap, right, to try and fight that Camazotz at that point. And you heard them talk about this a bit on the cast, but there were a lot of issues, I think, on the side of the Heithy team here in this one, right? Certainly some of that was that Heithy Kukulkan build, a long time to get Pen online, even longer to get any anti-heal online. I mean, there was a ton of stuff, I think, throughout the entirety of that game that they could have done better.
Yeah, we saw Heithy hit Snad in the late game with Zephyr. Snad shrugged it off, jumped on the wave, and I think he overhealed it.
Yes,
so.
If he had taken more damage, he'd have healed that up too, right?
Yes.
Certainly was at a comfortable position. So that was that last set that we just saw. The next one we're going into is our first semifinal of the day. This is Kaeydan Fanclub up against Mexiety Onset. This Mexiety Onset squad, one you guys should absolutely recognize. Tons of former SML players who've been at this level forever now. These guys are constantly grinding. And then this Kaeydan Fanclub team, I don't quite know them as well, but certainly you should recognize Kaeydan, a really popular jungler. It's been around for a while. You got any read on these two teams?
Well, Mexiety, it's what I believe to be the strongest team still in the bracket. We've got Diesel, Sibyl, Sops. We've got all these huge names. They've been playing at this level for so long, and they've been dominating at this level. This is really where they find their home, as well as they're all ranked stars. You look over at KFC, the Kaeydan Fanclub, and the only real standout name is Kaeydan. Kaeydan was a console boy. I've had a lot of time scrimming against him. He was one of my scrim partners for the longest. We used to rib him a little bit, call him Mifflin Light, but you know, he's found his own, and I think we're going to see a good performance out of him today.
That's a high bar trying to get up to Mifflin, right? That's the kind of thing that can weigh on your shoulders, I think.
All lowercase on the light, by the way. Like, we didn't put a capital L on it.
No, not like the Switch light or anything like that. So, yeah, as you said, Kaeydan certainly someone to keep an eye out. Fearno and Chronic, I believe we've seen around as well. So I'm expecting good things from this semifinal. We are into best of 3s now, too, so not like that best of 1 we just saw in the quarterfinals. But enough from us, at least about getting ready for the set to start. Let's go ahead and get into the picks and bans. Mexiety Onset will be in that first pick position. Kaeydan's Fanclub will be second. Kukulkan getting banned out, man. I don't know. If you're doing Book of the Dead Magai's Cloak, it's not even all that scary.
Yeah, I mean, I did look a little foolish last desk. I said that Kukulkan's going to be real strong, and we got proven wrong there, but sure. I understand this ban. We also see Emojic banned out here. That's a dominant pick. Establishes so much just team fight presence with the heal and the shielding. Camazotz on the other side, I mean, we saw what Camazotz
That's
can
true,
do.
right? Snatos, certainly, if you needed to see a bulletin board for Camazotz and you just saw it last game, the Odin ban makes a ton of sense to me, too. He's so strong right now. You want to get rid of him and the Xingqian. So these are all fairly standard. Persephone does make it through, though. It looks as though Mexiety kind of chose which mains they were more worried about, they didn't want to deal with. Ban the Cuckoo will take the Persephone, probably 2 of the top mid lane picks right now.
Persephone is so good at just poking out the enemy mid laner. It's hard to line up the ability, but if you get a really competent Persephone, she should be able to bully the lane, which is why I love Kaeydan picking the Thor here. I imagine it is going to go to the titular Kaeydan. He's been known for his Thor for a long time. Anvil of Dawn is going to be able to establish that I don't want you past your midpoint in middle lane, Persephone, and she's going to have to respect that.
Certainly. Now, one thing to keep in mind is obviously Persephone, even once you kill her, still pretty relevant in those fights, right? You got to kind of make that decision on how you want to interact with her, but Thor's such a strong pick right now. They're going to pair that with Heimdallr and Merlin. This team will not be lacking for damage at this point, man. That is a competent backline they've drafted. They've got to make sure they have a front line there to sort of bolster up for them.
Yeah, I would expect to see maybe a warrior support so they can get involved early. Because a warrior in the solo lane, yes, it is a frontliner, but you're going to have to wait a little bit for him to get there. We see the Bacchus. It's essentially the magical warrior.
It is, isn't it? You're not wrong, I don't think. It's just that it's doing some magical damage. So Bacchus certainly one that likes to get involved. That changed the chug that happened a while ago, meaning he gets it to level 1. He's going to have that drunken meter built up all the time in the support role, so we should certainly be expecting him to be active. But what about this Ymir? I feel like we were just talking about him yesterday, that he doesn't feel like he quite matches up with some of these other supports. Where do you feel about it?
I think Ymir is really good in of himself, but when compared elsewhere, it's like, yes, I could have this nice BMW, but Teslas exist, you know what I mean?
Right.
So Ymir, he's going to be an easy target as well. If Heimdallr can find the ultimate on him, or even if Bacchus can find the jump, it's going to be really hard for him to self-peel.
I wonder if this is going to be the Ymir support, too, because Hercules support has been so strong, but I got to imagine Hercules does better over in that solo lane, right? So even with the strength of Hercules support, we're thinking he's probably solo here?
Yeah, I think he would be solo, because Ymir also has that huge synergy with Anhur. Ymir can throw up the ice wall, Anhur will throw the impale out. Pin him to it.
Yeah, should be pretty easy to get the stun there. Chulainn, rather, going to come in for the last pick for Kaeydan's Fanclub. Another pick that I feel like has been seeing a little bit more play here lately over in the solo lane. Can be a bit of a bully, and if you can time those rage transformations well, Chulainn is really strong. But we're ready, though, to get into the action. Game number 1, Mexiety Onset and Kaeydan Fanclub. I'm going to get it down to Dulce.
I appreciate you, Finch, as we move our way into semifinal number 1, as Dansland is awaiting the winner of this set between Mexiety and Kaeydan Fanclub. Aggro still with me on this call. Aggro, it always seems right. We ended the last set talking so much about that Camazotz in that solo lane. Look at what we got here. It is the Hercules solo. Finch speculating potentially, and it was where he ended up. And then you have Chronic on the Chulainn up there as well. What do you like in that lane?
Chulainn's a god that we haven't seen a whole lot of the last few seasons, but got some buffs coming into this year, and I think people kind of realized that they probably just kind of miss playing this god. He's a god that can make a huge impact, and certainly has tools to try and take this matchup. Don't forget that one barbed spear has innate anti-heal built in, so that's really important up against a god like Hercules. It's going to sustain not right now at level 1, but level 3 or so when he starts to get that mitigate wounds. I think that Chulainn doesn't have a whole lot of solo potential in this matchup as long as both are playing properly. It's really always Hercules that you have to be scared of getting soloed by. But Chulainn can really punish gods like Ymir, who can be a little bit more immobile, pretty well with all his dispositioning.
Well, Ymir is actually in the jungle this time around. The speculation was whether Hercules would be solo or support, and instead Sops in the mid lane is able to find the first blood in this one. Cope looking to back himself off, and Kaeydan finds the final shot. That's a 1-for-1 start. First blood, though, over to Kaeydan Fanclub. Maybe even finding second blood. You just need one more shot. Oh, Sops turns it around. Nearly gets out, but Kaeydan with the double tap and the teleport to the hammer is able to clean that one up. A level 3 Thor with 2 kills, a minute and a half into this game. It's not something I'm excited about going against.
No, you're feeling pretty good about that if you're Kaeydan, for sure. Really nice play by him. Good mechanics through and through. 2 double taps that he just free-handed out there in the mid lane. I feel like Cope and Sops could have maybe moved a little bit better around that potential double tap, but either way, really good mechanics by Kaeydan. And this is what you want against Ymir, is to put him behind. Ymir pushes leads incredibly well. It's just hard for him to get them sometimes.
Driving strike onto Chronic is going to knock him back, but this one relatively even save the levels here with health bars at least. A bit of a difference, I think, in kind of mindset going into this lane. Chronic went immediately into that tier 1 shield, whereas MandoWarrior avoided that and opted for a few more potions right out of base.
And that seems to be helping Mando quite a bit because he's been really focused on poke. That's a good identification of what you can play around. It's a little bit harder to poke out Chronic because he has that physical defense already there, but knowing that you have the sustained advantage not only via your kit, but also in your itemization choices means that I really like Mando's decision to try and play aggressively in that lane. That's what I expect. MandoWarrior is a veteran at this point. He's been playing at this level for a long time. Was playing ADC for a little bit. Seems to be back in the solo lane, and I think this is where Mando's better suited. He not that he was a liability in ADC necessarily, but he can be an impact player in the solo lane, and I just didn't see that. Of course, it takes time to learn a new role, so maybe it would have come in time, but it wasn't there yet.
Watch out here in the long lane as the junglers are here to help. Knocking back just a little bit is Fearno, but he's not going to get too much for it. Diesel, Sibyl able to back themselves off from that one. Lack of mana maybe coming into that one. It's a rotation from Nayhoo, actually was the mid laner. But Kaeydan finally hits level 5. Could choose to crash down. They are pinging it. I don't know if he had the range for that one. Thought about it, but no good.
Man, if he just takes 3 more steps in, that's easy kills for him at that point. Diesel no beads, that's a full combo that you can drop on his head, and that'll certainly kill him from 60% health. But maybe a little bit impatient on when to use that ultimate, or just thought that they were going to back a little bit more quickly than Diesel and Sibyl really wanted to.
Well, Cope is able to keep pace, at least levels-wise, despite the 2-kill disadvantage for Kaeydan. They're still going for this purple buff. Sibyl's got 3 members of Kaeydan surrounding him. Is he able to turn around the kill? No. Fearno is going to grab the kill with Gjallarhorn this time. That's a 3-kill on the board for Kaeydan Fanclub. 2-kill lead. Copebby finds the stun as he backs up back against the wall. This Ymir needs to get himself involved. Has his ultimate, looking for some damage. Blown up some. Is Nayhoo. As Kaeydan's going to back himself off from that fight. Finally, Ymir puts himself in the conversation.
That was a beautiful ult by Sops. Forced the beads. Kaeydan quick on it too, because otherwise he would have gotten interrupted mid-hammer toss. But quick beads from him got him out, because that could have been an easy double kill for Cope. Cope's been a Ymir stand for a long time at this point, but Mando's in trouble here.
He's going to have to try to back off. Oh, the knockback from Chronic, no good. Knockback from Mando, no good as well. Chronic not knocked back by that one, so Mando stays alive. We still stand at a 6-6 level up there in the soul lane. And again, I've harped on it before. I think despite that early 2 kills, Cope on the Ymir, he still has about a half-level advantage. He's farmed up well.
Just accepting a bad early game as Ymir is not really an option. You need to leverage that insane base damage and great CC that he has early on, because late game he just gets punished very, very easily for how immobile he can be. So you really do want to leverage that even if you fall a little bit behind, and Cope's really identified that nicely. I like the Boots rush. You need that mobility on him very early so you can keep in range of that Frost Breath, which is pretty easy to outrange at times.
Yep.
And as I was saying, Cope has been a long-time Ymir player. He played solo at the top level and loved it over there. And it does things very similar to what Atmoe just did on the Bacchus. It kills squishies really, really well, even as a Guardian.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. Bacchus has the potential to burst you down. Kaeydan is going to look to make this ultimate more impactful. He's going to crash down just behind
nice
Mando,
stun.
grabs the stun, double tap, looking for the whirl for the kill, and Chronic makes no mistake. Mando, he's been low in lane pretty consistently. Kaeydan finally makes good on the setup from Chronic, and they grab a kill for the solo.
Now that's in the early game when you start the boots with Chalice and the enemy starts the round shield. It makes sense to play aggressively. You've got more sustain. Your Hercules, it's pretty easy for you to out-trade, but Kaeydan running into some trouble.
He's going to get the Nayhoo ultimate knocked down. He grabs a kill a moment ago. He's going to grab a death here. Sops at the hands of that one. That's 2 kills now for that Persephone. Right into some healing, the Bancrofts. So anti-heal, I think, was the conversation we had so much around that Camazotz. You look at Persephone immediately into the Bancrofts.
Yep.
What do you look at anti-heal-wise against that?
You're looking for more, for sure. Merlin, one of the best gods in the entire game at applying Divine Ruin. A lot of his abilities do tick damage, so it reapplies that anti-heal very easily over a longer period of time. He covers a lot of ground with those abilities. Divine should be an absolute pickup here right after the Chronos Pendant finish in that mid lane. You've got a Merlin you've got a Hercules on the other side, and you've got a Persephone who's got Bancrofts. As soon as you finish that Chronos Pendant, I'm going straight into Divine.
Well, luckily, Nayhoo isn't quite as behind as Kukulkan was in our previous game, so might feel a little bit more open to find some damage. Diesel has Fearno completely poked out here, so this is a potentially good opportunity for him to pull a little bit of a lead down there. And a big difference, honestly, what we've seen is kind of a difference in ideas of misstun there by Cope. Kaeydan may be locked out here. Can't teleport to his hammer if he wants to get himself out alive, but the wall is there. There is the teleport out back to his hammer. So Kaeydan getting a little bit deep, but does escape with his life. But Sibyl can't say that much for him. Down goes that Nayhoo support with Copebby looking for a little bit extra. Moves himself in, Sops is around. Watch out, Thor up into the sky. Not sure where he's going to choose to crash down on this one. It looks like he is going to drop down right onto Cope. Well timed. Nayhoo finds the kill. Sops, though, answers back with an ultimate of his own. This one's getting messy in the jungle, aggro.
Little bit. Just some odd decisions back and forth. A bad pathing decision by Sibyl. Atmoe's power boots, no longer pen boots, but just outright power boots, paying off 75 power on those. You know Bacchus loves that. He's been able to make a couple people pay with that damage so far. But then Cope, he's trying to use the ultimate for CC immunity, but Kaeydan, with good patience, just waits it out, sets himself up for easy damage over the wall for Merlin. A couple odd decisions there by Cope, I'd say.
Diesel has consistently been aggressive in this long lane and has kind of kept Fearno underneath his tower line, unable to capitalize that up to this point as anyone rotating in from Kaeydan Fanclub. You look at it, 8.5 or 9 minutes into this game, rather. Pretty much even across the board, at least gold-wise. Maybe XP is where some things start to change there. with all 6 towers still remaining for both teams. But maybe a bit of a lead. A difference, though, in Hunter build here. Anhur going likely into that Transcendence, but Fearno has that decision now between Devos and Bloodforged.
I would expect Fearno to go into the Bloodforged, especially on Heimdallr, who just has insane scaling. The power is just more valuable to you when you have scaling like Heimdallr does, and you don't want to have to stack up and be even weaker because Diesel's already pushing those leads. But I think this is a pretty favored matchup for Anhur a lot of the time, or for Heimdallr.
Watch out, atmoe's in from the backside. That's a beads. That's gonna save the stun, but unfortunately not save his life. Finally, Diesel punished for, actually wasn't really all that far forward, but he does get punished. There was a 1 kill traded out onto Nayhoo in that mid lane, so you find a 1-for-1, but it's Bacchus now. You got 3 kills on your Bacchus on the back end of some ganks.
If my memory serves me properly, atmoe's usually a mid lane main, so just kind of moving over to support to play for this team. Still going with that damage mentality though at the Bacchus. I like it. I mean, he's still trying to murder people with that magic damage, and he's done so efficiently so far.
Actually wasn't beads burned by Diesel there, so
through
his ultimate, right, he was able to keep himself CC immune. So it's a small win there for himself. If the return gank is on, he's going to be able to CC immune himself. Chronic's going to dodge out the knockback. Driving strike connects from MandoWarrior,
Nice,
but he's not able to follow up on the kill. So Chronic has built himself now a 1-level lead on the back of just 1 gank from Kaeydan.
At the same time, though, he's getting a little bit too greedy with that lead. Gets himself pushed under tower and good damage returned by Mando. That Breastplate of Valor pickup, critical in this matchup. Hercules, very cooldown dependent. Getting 20% CDR this early really feels good. And 65 prot when, of course, Chronic's not going to have any pen at this point. Likely won't for a long time, if at all. Means that it really favors MandoWarrior in these trades.
The support's continuing to rotate as atmoe makes his way to the mid lane. Up into the sky goes Kaeydan. Diesel's going to get stunned out. Can't CC that one away. Does use his beads this time. Unfortunately, those time out. He's not able to stay alive. Looking for more is Sops here. He's going to toss out the plant, maybe for a little bit more damage. Nayhoo pulls him back, but I'm not sure you want to do that. Sops nearly turns that kill around. Oh, blink forward from Kaeydan, thanks to the double tap from the hammer. He gets a kill back in the mid lane. atmoe is going to trade back with Cope, and there are 3 members, albeit low health members of Kaeydan Fanclub, starting to collapse now on Cope. You have Mando here, maybe to support. Does have his boulder. Who does he choose to use it on? Not just yet. Might have needed it, did need it to finish off the kill onto Kaeydan. Looking at the right-hand side of your screen, if you're Kaeydan Fanclub, you're happy to have gotten out alive, but I spoke too soon. The Sibyl finally finishes off one of those kills. Chronic looking for a little bit more.
Beautiful use of that CC immunity. Chronic should have it until phenomenal peel by MandoWarrior is going to get his jungler out of danger. Perfect pickup right before Chronic transformed. Would have given him access to a whole new set of abilities and certainly would have been able to chase down Copebby nicely. Mando's played this game very well, and this is why I'm excited to see him back in the solo lane, man. This is where I think he belongs.
This one is a lot more even here at 12 minutes with gold, just about a 1K differential. XP there on the side of Mexiety Onset, so maybe a bit of a difference. But atmoe's going to make his way to the mid lane one more time. Nayhoo trapped in by Sops, so they're going to be able to finish off the kill. He's just dancing around. atmoe can't body block that one, and that's going to be a kill for the Persephone, and atmoe thinks twice about trying to continue this fight as his health is chunked down. It's a good play by Sops to turn that one around.
Looks like Fearno's turned this lane around as well. Diesel dead to rights. Fearno doesn't even need to do anything else. He did his dirty work. And I really do feel like this is a great matchup for Heimdallr. I know that he was getting bullied out a little bit earlier on, but at this point, everything Diesel does normally in aggressive matchups, jumps in, tries to impale you. None of that works against Gjallarhorn.
atmoe's going to try to stun while Kaeydan looks to do the same.
Nice
Knocked up. He is getting chunked away, hits level 12 mid-air, and that could be a difference maker here as he goes back onto Sops, tries to turn around some damage. This Persephone has benefited from a lot of missed ganks towards that mid lane, with Chronic looking to maybe turn it around in favor of Kaeydan Fanclub. But 6 of your 8 kills rather now are on this Persephone. That's a lot of weight to hold for Sops, and he's going to be able to maybe turn this one around. Sibyl's going to stun him up. Sops is going to capitalize again for his 7th kill of this game. Fearno's going to turn around some damage. Nice double stun. That's going to be beautiful. No. Turns around some damage, and he is only able to get 1 kill from it, but the wall blocks off Nayhoo, and that's Sibyl who's in range to find the stun. Atmoe is going to try to backpedal from this one. The sash is on cooldown from Sibyl, therefore no stun, but it's still a 3 for none in favor of Mexiety.
Man, that gave me anxiety just sitting there, not Mexiety, anxiety, of course, just watching Copebby channel an ultimate against 3 people. Thanks for the pity laugh, Dave. No one else does that for me anymore. Finch and Hindu have already learned their lesson. You'll get there in time, don't worry. But man, Cope, this build I love on Ymir jungle because it's cheap. It's very, very stat efficient. It's 2 really, really cheap items back-to-back, Stone of Binding and Relic Dagger, and they both work really, really well for Ymir. Stone of Binding because it's going to proc on your stuns and your slows so that you're going to constantly get 10 pen on everybody around you, basically.
Yep.
And then Relic Dagger right after the fact in order to get more HP that lets him brawl a little bit better. Ymir's base damage numbers are obscene, so you don't need to worry that much about building damage. And now he's got into a 20% pen item in the Charon's coin, which also, as it stacks, ends up giving you movement speed, which is exactly what Ymir wants. I mean, Cope's pretty speedy right now, and clearly is bringing the damage right alongside
And
it.
once those stacks start to hit, he's going to be a little bit quicker, and you're going to be getting blinked on by that Ymir a little bit more. Diesel, he's in a bad spot here. Stunned up, but he is going to beads and jump his way out of that one. Aegis used as well. Therefore, can't Aegis off the body block. Atmoe, another good rotation to that long lane. Grabs another, his 4th of the game. That's at least a little silver lining here for Kaeydan Fanclub. The recent stories have been around Mexiety and how they've pulled this game so heavily in their favor. Could do some more here with Atmoe looking to back himself off. Mando's right in range. Knockback no good. This one might just fizzle out with Mando getting pulled back.
Looks like Kaeydan was forced back on this right-hand side as he and Chronic were looking for that tier 2 tower. Good freeze by Cope, and with Sibyl coming around the corner, Chronic probably not feeling great about his position.
Yeah, that's a good wall, some good body blocks as well. Might have the lead, but with the stun locking him down, Sibyl's going to capitalize and grab himself another kill. Atmoe, between Atmoe and Sibyl, you talk about the supports, the rotations have been there.
Yep.
4 kills for Atmoe, 2 kills for this Nayhoo. I think the supports have done a good job.
I completely agree, and 2 damage-oriented supports, they are certainly doing just that. Atmoe actually above even Kaeydan in damage, and when your Thor starts off 2-0 in the first 3-4 minutes of the game, you really needed Kaeydan to play a little bit more aggressively. He's bottom of the player damage.
Well, Sibyl's going to find another ultimate onto who else but Kaeydan, and the knockback is in from MandoWarrior. That's a good teleport back to the hammer from Kaeydan, and Atmoe was there just for a little bit of extra peel. Well, you know, the reason, it's my fault, right? I said, you got to be scared of this 2 kills on your Thor 2 minutes into this game.
No.
So it's entirely my fault, right?
No, Dave. You know what?
I said nothing would be my fault today, but I think that one might be.
Here's the thing, Dave. It is not your fault. It's Kaeydan's fault. Let's call a spade, shall we?
Well, Fresno is going to call a spade. Diesel is going to knock him up into the sky. What did I say, Fresno?
Yeah, yeah, the Bulldogs over there, Fresno State looking good in the red jerseys. They are red, at least.
He's barking at him. Fearno grabs the kill. Copebby does have some good damage on that ultimate. It's going to detonate it early. Going to chunk down Chronic just a little bit extra. Kaeydan takes to the skies, crashes down with no one in range. Chronic does turn around a kill onto sops, so that's a small win.
Huge.
For the Kaeydan Fanclub. You're going to get that 7-kill Persephone off the board.
Huge that you get that kill bounty and really shut her down at this point. And you get the purification bead, so maybe you free her up for another dunk by Kaeydan or something that can really put this Persephone behind. That's the thing about SMITE these days. It started last year and certainly continues here in Season 7. Leads in the early game are great, and you can get them still, and they are certainly worth your time. But if you get around the 20-minute mark and you take a couple deaths back-to-back, the way that the minion waves scale in XP and gold makes it really, really easy to catch up. So Sops dies with a 2-level lead over Nayhoo, and Nayhoo hasn't been able to find a whole lot of farm to catch up quickly, but it certainly is a possibility.
Kaeydan was looking for some free farm on the backside of this jungle, and instead he's found another kill for Diesel. Fearno is going to take the crystal back to safety. He's barking his way back.
Dave, I know you well enough to know that you're going to think about that moment as you fall asleep tonight, and I want you to know that it truly made my day. And
I'm staring at the ceiling in bed.
Yep, that's gonna be you.
Sad dog noises, right?
Yeah,
that
exactly.
whole deal.
It's a-okay. There are worse mistakes to make, and I think that's very funny. So at the very least, it was entertaining for me.
And you know what, Agro? That's what it's all about.
That's right.
If I'm entertaining you, I'm happy. Diesel is going to be happy to leap his way away. At 1-6, Diesel has finally been able, and just a moment ago, that kill was the first time this Anhur has been on the board, but he's kept up his farm, 2 levels behind Fearno. But he's still, you know, midway through that build, gone Transcendence into that Aussie, looking like he's going to finish off with some kin size.
It's not been Diesel's best game, for sure. Diesel's an experienced player at this level in a good ADC, but I just looks a little rusty.
That's Thor off to the backside and not going to connect on the stun, but he does get it onto Diesel. Sibyl is going to use that shell to buy some shielding. Copebby, he's right in range for the kill. Onto atmoe. This is a good start to the fight for Mexiety with MandoWarrior zoning out 3 people under this tier 2 tower. Big ultimate from Diesel. That chunks away some damage that Sops is able to make good of. Chronic is going to look to turn that one around. Kaeydan is going to use that Aegis to keep himself alive through that ultimate. But where we stand is a 3 for none, 4 for none for Mexiety Onset.
It looks like it was going to be a 2 for none, and then it looks like a little cleanup duty was had on that right-hand side. Mando maybe blinking in to finish off Nayhoo and Chronic, but that opens up this right side tier 2. Should open up the right side Phoenix as well.
Just going to look to back themselves off this time. Fire Giant maybe becomes the next objective that you start to look at here. If you're Mexiety, you've carved yourself out nearly a 10k gold lead while things were so even for so long. They did stop MandoWarrior from getting himself out, and he's going to use that double hammer tap to move himself forward, but I don't think they're going to look for that much extra. Diesel, despite being behind, has plenty of damage to turn around some kills. atmoe is maybe going to be able to find the stun, but he's just going to backpedal his way on towards that Fire Giant. Up, down, connects. Does he have the damage? I'm not sure. Mando has the ultimate, but might not choose to use it here. atmoe gets out with his life.
Sop's going to fire off that ultimate, actually, and catch him.
Dang it, dude. No way. Come on.
Way.
Are you serious?
Listen, I think atmoe was on the same train of thought as you. Just bad decision-making to walk into that blue buff at all. He was fortunate to be close to out, but great accuracy from Sops, who's really been dominant so far on this Persephone.
Well, there's one thing I've been right about this game, and that Fire Giant is the next big objective.
Nicely done.
For Mexiety to look towards, and they're going to get it on all 5 members. With 10 seconds left on atmoe, they've got a 4v5 advantage as well. Could get worse. Ultimate starting to get popped. Chronic does knock back a few. This time, Sops gets the kill credit for his 11th of this game, and now 45 seconds on that Chulainn. Sure, you grab yourself a Primal Fury, but that right side Phoenix is looking nervous right about now.
Man, this Persephone in the mid lane is just snowballed out of control in this game, and that's what Persephone really has the potential to do. She's a carry god for sure.
They're going to look to fight under this Phoenix, give themselves sort of a pseudo 5th man, but atmoe, he hasn't found the fight I don't think that he was looking for. Kaeydan takes to the skies. Diesel maybe looking good in the backline. Double stun. Oh, knockback right into the wall. Diesel turns around. The fight saves himself with Sibyl capitalizing. There's 2 members dead, only 3 left alive for Kaeydan Fanclub. Nayhoo stunned out right side. Phoenix getting chipped away at. atmoe knocked back. Fearno is going to use the ultimate, but he's looking like a good target right about now, aggro. Big fight from Mexiety Onset. They could take this Phoenix. They could take this game.
Looks good for them. Diesel picks up his 2nd. Chronic's respawn just in time to get ulted again by Copebby. He's had a steady diet of the shards of ice. And I think you're right, Dave. This Titan's looking juicy.
Well, the Phoenix is going to go down. Only atmoe left alive. And this seems like a tall, tall task for the support Bacchus. Titan under attack, Mexiety Onset. They're going to take semifinal number 1, game number 1, and maybe grab a kill to boot with this one. Persephone through and through this game. So effective. The jungle Ymir as well. The rotations were in. Kaeydan's just going to come out of base. Able to save himself 1 extra death on this one. Just finish off the Titan. Mexiety agree. And they grab the win.
Look, this Kaeydan Fanclub team certainly has a lot of potential. I love the way that Fearno was able to turn around an early deficit. Kaeydan looked mechanically very, very solid in this game. It's just being in the right places, letting a couple kills off the hook. I mean, that double kill potential in duo lane on that first ult, if Kaeydan just takes a couple more steps, looks a lot better. And certainly this team has potential moving forward, just didn't have it here in this game.
Aggro, I'll admit, I wasn't sure about the Ymir in the jungle going into this game.
Looks good.
I loved the points that you made about his build, and Copebby made it look great.
Sure did, and that's a signature pick for him. He loved that pick when he was an ALG solo laner, and certainly made it pay off here today for Mexiety Onset in the jungle. And when Sops is going to play that well, I mean, Sops has been in the mid lane for a while now, usually played a lot of hunters in that role, but if he's adding a Persephone and a mage that strong with that level of comfort, I think it's going to make this team that much harder to really combat.
In aggro, I think I've just seen so many mid laners just getting sat on by junglers through and through these last 2 games that we've casted. I know
it's tough, man.
You
Let
have
me
a
tell
special
you.
interest in this one. Is that just kind of the meta that we're starting to see right now? Just so much focus towards this mid lane?
Yeah, absolutely. Mid lane is getting more farm again, and anytime that happens, everyone is worried about how well they can carry the game and how much damage they do and how cool and thin all mid laners are. And that's just a fact of life. I mean, all the cool players are in the mid lane, and so you really do have to try and shut them down, because otherwise games like this happen for Sops.
People in the back yelling at me for giving you this soapbox. Just giving you. Yeah, I can.
I'm not standing on a box. What are you talking about? I'm definitely this
do we
tall.
have a wide?
No, you don't.
Do that
No,
to
we
aggro.
don't.
No, it's okay. We don't have the wide shot. Unsurprising though. I mean, we talked about what Sops was going to bring to the table with this Persephone. She's so often banned out.
Yep.
And I think this shows you why, what she's able to do, especially when left unchecked a good bit of the time. Yeah, this is the one.
That was clean.
I'm saying for sure he gets
This is
out
not
alive.
an easy shot. That is not an easy shot at all. That's a lot of prediction.
I didn't believe in Sops, but
No, hey,
I certainly do now.
I didn't even see him either. I didn't see him either at that moment, but he had it under control for sure. That ultimate is pretty good. I'm willing to go out on that limb.
Well, hats off to Mexiety. They beat them so handily. Game 2 is actually a forfeit. So Mexiety, we'll see them in the finals later on today. It was a fun one, though. Aggro, thanks for casting the first few games with me. We're going to jump to a quick break, and when we come back, semifinal number 2.